tell
That's what we were going to ask
what
you.
happened? What's going on? I feel like there was language unveiled yesterday. Why not call it today?
Well, I think that we're moving forward and we're doing it well. I'm very optimistic that we're going to have an agreement very shortly. But as you know, the devil is in the details. There's a lot of moving parts in Medicaid reform. It's over a 500-page bill. We just want to make sure that we've dotted all of our I's and crossed the T's.
What specifically are the hang-ups at this point?
I think they're technical in nature. The waiver is in the bill. I think that there needs to be some decisions about whether that stays in, the Cook County waiver, and also in what order we're going to call the bill.
Is there like a particular opposition to the Cook County waiver? Is it coming from the Republicans?
I just think it's a big piece of legislation. People are going through it to make sure that we've thought things through before we call it. I wouldn't say that this is a tough bill. There's a lot of stuff in it, from care coordination to rate cuts to, you name it, it's in there. So there's a lot of things that we need to consider before we actually move it out.
And when you say the order in which you'll call it, you mean whether this component will be first or the one that has not actually been filed, being cigarette tax and what have you?
Correct. I think that there are, like I said, a lot of moving parts. I'm not sure. I think the leaders continue to meet about making decisions about who's voting for what and putting together roll calls and making sure that we're ready to move forward on this.
Is the working group still meeting, or that's all settled and it's at the leader level?
We are on call. Let's put it this way. I was on call to move the amendment, shell it out, just to keep things moving. But I'm very optimistic that we're going to have overwhelming support for the legislation. I think all four caucuses worked in goodwill together, although some very, very tough things in that bill. But this is what we have to do. I think that there's a strong commitment to get the state back on track. We have done our best to reach that $2.7 billion number, which is enormous. I mean, enormous. I'm not sure people ever thought we'd ever achieve it. But as you know, the nugget in the bill that's the most important piece is going to be the revenue piece, which is the tobacco tax.
So does the Speaker want to move the cigarette tax first? Is that what you're kind of getting at with regard to the order?
I think that none of this has quite yet been decided, but I do wonder, you have to understand that this is if we cannot pass the tobacco tax, if we cannot come up with this, we have a $700 million hole that we're going to have to plug, and it's probably going to come out of education and human services, which would not be good because we're already struggling to keep core programs in place. So I'm hoping that we can get the requisite number of votes to get that piece of the bill.
Any idea how close you are on that, roll call-wise, the cigarette tax?
I'm optimistic. I really am.
Is there a backup plan in education and human services in case that isn't passed?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to shut down, whole programs. I mean, it's going to be devastating. We may have to close more institutions. We may have to, I don't know what would happen in the education committee, but I'll tell you, in human services, it will be devastating.
Have you identified the specific programs?
No,
or
we have
anything?
not.
So you're not even going there?
I don't even want to go there. Don't make me go there.
Has that been used as a bargaining chip with House Republicans, for example, or maybe Senate Republicans who have institutions in their districts to say, hey, vote for this, or else?
I think the members of the Human Services Appropriations Committee are very sophisticated. They've been at it. Last year, we took our first shot at really cutting these budgets, and they know where the money is. They know where the money is in the programs. We know the COGFA has given us a yellow light on closing some state ops. Part of the reason is because we're not quite ready, and we really need to build infrastructure in community settings, which we know are the more cost-effective ones. And that's, we're at a tipping point right now. We want to be able to take resources, put them in the community, build the infrastructure, and then safely transition people so that the spirit of safe transition is what, we want to not just talk the talk, we want to walk the walk. So if we have to go back into these committees and cut another $700 million out, we'll never get there. But we'll have to shut it all down.
Thank you.
Thanks, Representative.
Thanks.
Unless there's anything else you had to add.